Now, over 4 years into the war, Ukraine is actively moving away from its Russian and Soviet heritage. From removing the Soviet-era symbols, statues, monuments, to renaming streets and cities, to shifting cultural policies far from the front lines, Ukraine is now battling an identity war. This widespread national awakening is centered on de-Russification, promoting Ukrainian language and also building some stronger ties with Europe. Take, for instance, the Christmas celebration. Moscow and Kiev ring in the big day on different dates. 3 years ago, Ukraine had switched its official Christmas to December 25th to match the calendar used by much of the world and Western churches. It removed the remaining Soviet and Russian religious influences. Previously, Ukraine had marked Christmas on the 7th of January, and it followed the calendar the Russians did. When the Soviet era collapsed in late 1991, Ukraine removed large numbers of Soviet-era statues as part of the de-communisation. 2 decades later, Ukraine witnessed a massive political crisis with Euromaidan protest. It was triggered by the then-President Viktor Yanukovych, who had suspended an association agreement with the European Union in favour of closer ties with Russia. The decision had sparked mass street protests across Kiev. Clashes, police crackdowns and also ultimate demands for government resignations took centre stage. And these are some of the images of protesters pulling down the statue of Lenin at the prominent Bessarabka Square in Kiev in 2013. The crowd toppled the sculpture, smashed it with sledgehammers, and this moment marked a powerful symbolic turning point to the Euromaidan revolution. With Russia seizing Crimea in 2014, followed by Ukraine war in 2024, Kiev has now sped up the process of completely dismantling every single public monument that is dedicated to Vladimir Lenin. And today there are 0 public Lenin statues that remain in the government-controlled areas of Ukraine. On the 28th of June, President Volodymyr Zelenskyy proposed placing a monument of Cossack Hetman Ivan Mazepa on the vacant plinth on Taras Shevchenko Boulevard in Kiev, where the statue of Lenin once stood. Now, Zelenskyy has called it a step towards restoring historical justice. Now, Ivan Mazepa was a prominent Cossack, military and political leader who broke with Moscow and fought for Ukraine's independence. As hetman or head of the Cossack Ukraine, Mazepa had sought to balance the demands of neighboring Moscow and Warsaw. Ukraine views him as the architect of European Ukraine, but Russia views Mazepa as a traitor, a duplicitous turncoat and a political rebel who had betrayed Tsar Peter the Great and had formed an alliance with Charles XII of Sweden during the Great Northern War in 1709 to seek Ukrainian independence. The announcement by Zelenskyy has come just days after the Russian drone struck a 975-year-old Kiev-Pechersk Lavra, which held special significance for Mazepa. The Russian assault had set ablaze the roof of the Dormition Cathedral, one of Ukraine's holiest Christian sites. Remember, Mazepa had financed the construction and the restoration of churches, fortifications and other buildings that have shaped much of the monastery's distinctive Ukrainian Baroque architecture. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.